lives. By show of hands, how many was raised in a single parent home? You know, I discovered that 1 in 3 American kids grow up in fatherless homes. I was one of them. I can remember back in 1988, my mother and my father divorced. They split, they left each other. And I can remember the feeling I felt at that time in my life. I felt depressed. I felt down. But most of all, I felt torn. Have you ever felt torn before? Maybe torn between 2 jobs. Maybe torn between a dream and a job. Maybe torn between your purpose and your profession. You know, Zig Ziglar said that our career is something that we get paid for, but our purpose is something that we were made for. But then I can remember back in 1988, we moved from Abilene, Texas, back down to Miami, Florida, where I was raised the majority of my life. And I can remember we had bunk beds. How many of you had bunk beds? Come on now, be real. I had bunk beds, right? But I can remember my brother was on the top bunk, and I was on the bottom bunk. And I can remember before I got on my knees to pray, and before I got inside my bed to go to sleep, I would walk over to my dresser, Mac, and I would grab my father's picture off the dresser, and I would walk back to my bed. And before I got on my knees to pray, and before I got inside my bed to go to sleep, I would look at his picture as I laid my head on my pillow, and I would look at it, and I would just cry, because I realized at that very moment that the thing that I thought would turn out the way I wanted it to didn't. I have a question for you, because Anthony Robbins said that the quality of our lives will be determined by the quality of questions that we ask ourselves. What do you do when the situation you thought would turn out the way you wanted to doesn't? What do you do when a situation that you thought would turn out positive turns out negative? What do you do? The only thing I can tell you is that you're looking at a living testimony right now that you can come back after you've been set back. See, Willie Jolly said that a setback is nothing more but a setup for a comeback. And regardless of the setback, if you can take it, guess what? You can make it. But then I can remember in high school, I got into high school, and I can remember going to my friends' houses, and I can remember going to my friends' houses and watching them enjoying both their mother and their father in a household, right? And I would ask myself, why me? Have you ever asked yourself, why you? Why am I the one in this marriage? Why am I the one who had to endure this? But I realized that I had to go through what I had to go through because there's no testimony without a test.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be standing before you right now had I not been through what I've been through. Everything that we've been through in our lives has built us and developed us into becoming the person we are today.
That's right.
And then I can remember when I got into my college years, I can remember seeing people who were successful, regardless of their setbacks, regardless of the obstacles. I've seen people who were successful, and I said, you know what? Les Brown says that it's possible. Maybe it's possible for me to be successful. So I say, you know what? What I have to do, Joe, is I have to expose myself to positive people. I have to expose myself to people who are successful. So on the thought of talking about exposure, I want to talk to you guys about something I did the other day. All right? I walked into the Mercedes-Benz dealership the other day, dead broke, Ray.
I know that's right.
Dead broke. Now listen now, wait, hold on now. I'm not trying to tell you guys all of my business. Okay, but I don't have $140,000 to spend on no Mercedes-Benz right now. Right. But I will.
That's right.
But I remember I walked into the Mercedes-Benz dealership, Mac, but before I went on the showroom floor, Mac, I remember I drove up in my Mitsubishi Galant. One hubcap missing, tape on the window. I ain't gonna lie to you. Right? But I can remember I pulled into the parking lot. And as I got out, Mac, I opened my door and I got out and I said, you know what? I belong here. See, when you know you belong somewhere, look, I had my swagger like, you know what? When you know you're supposed to be somewhere, you start walking different, and you start talking different. I went on the lot, Mac, and I got in some of the cars that was open already. I sat down and I actually put my hand on the steering wheel and I got my camera phone out and I took a picture of what a Mercedes-Benz sign was and everything, right? But listen, I was on the lot. Brace, I was on the lot. But I knew they kept the goods on the showroom floor. So I said, let me walk up in the showroom floor, baby. So I remember I walked up and opened the door. And as I opened the door, Right in front of me, I seen the C class and I seen the E class, Ray, and I seen the CLS, but then I remember I turned to my left. There it was. My dream car sitting right there. Now, as I walked towards her, the sales associate was walking towards me. How you doing, sir? Can I help you with anything? Are you looking for anything in particular? I'm like, no, I'm just kind of looking right now. So he was like, would you like to get in? I said, oh, yeah. I was like a kid in that candy store, right? So I walked up to the Benz, and he opened the door for me. I stepped up. As I stepped up, bam! Leather hit me right in my face. I was like, right? I stepped in it, and I sat down, Mac, and I put my hand on the steering wheel, and as I put my hand on the steering wheel, I started playing that thing like it was a toy. I started messing with the accessories, messing with the sunroof, looking behind me, imagining my son was sitting back there in his car seat. Looked on the side of me, imagining that my wife was sitting on the side of me. Why is that so important? Well, Einstein said that the imagination is the preview of what's to come in your life. What are you imagining? Ooh, what are you imagining? Right? But as I left, I asked him, does he have a brochure? He said, sure. So he gave me a brochure. Now, I just want to share 3 things with you that I got from the brochure, and then I'll get out your way. All right? The first thing, as I got home, I started reading it. And the first thing it said, we set the standard for the industry. I have a question for you. Are you setting a standard for your life? See, because you got to know your value, because if you don't know your value, you'll settle for anything.
That's right.
In fact, Dr. King said that if we don't stand for something, we'll fall for anything. Second thing was the prestige of the car. The differentness of this car. I mean, this car is, when I see a Mercedes, now this is just my opinion. When I see a Mercedes-Benz on the road, it just makes my face go, oh man, it's just in my opinion, the Mercedes-Benz just looks different than any other car on the road. That lets me know that it's different, that it's uncommon. In fact, Theodore Roosevelt said something I like. He said, I choose not to be a common man. Me, it's my right to be uncommon if I can. I seek opportunity and not security. I choose not to be a kept citizen, humble and dull by having the state look after me. I choose to take the calculated risk, to dream, to build, to fail, and to succeed. I refuse to live from hand to mouth. In fact, I prefer the challenges of life to guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will never cower before any master nor bend to any friend. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid to think and act myself, to face this world boldly and say, this I have done. In order for us to go to the next level in our lives, we just have to simply get off of the level that everybody else is on. The last thing that struck me about the Mercedes-Benz, and you may not know it, Ray, I'm quite sure you know it, and Denard, but it's this kit they call the AMG model.
Yes, sir.
Right? The AMG kit. Now, I didn't know what the AMG kit meant. So I asked the salesman before I left, and he said, well, what they do, Mr. Whitehead, is that they take out the old engine, or the original engine, right? And they put in a new handmade engine. And that told me that what they were doing is transforming the inside of the car to make it better and to make it faster. And I discovered that in order for us to be better, my opinion, and for us to run to our dreams faster, Cara, we have to transform the inside. The other day I was doing research on DNA, which stands for deoxyribonucleic acid.
Oh, you better say that.
I didn't know that. DNA. I discovered that DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and as I logged on and as I was doing research on the DNA, I found out that what the DNA does is it makes up the outer part of us, makes up the complexity of our skin, the size of our nose, everything. The outside. And I said, you know what? I said, Linda, we can't change our DNA, but we can change our TSA. We can change our thinking, our speaking, and our attitudes. See, whenever we change the inside, whatever's on the inside is going to naturally come out on the outside. Am I correct? Change your thinking, your speaking, and your attitude. Until next time, this has been Quentin Whitehead, Senior, the Empowerment Specialist, also known as the Life Changer that's dedicated and committed to changing lives. telling you to go after your dreams and let's go get them.